You are 36 years old, and you have just bought your first house. Not a remarkable house, not a house that anyone would photograph for a magazine or describe as a dream home. A three-bedroom, detached property on a quiet street in a mid-sized city, priced at the absolute upper limit of what your mortgage approval would allow, with a kitchen that needs updating and a garden that has been neglected for at least 2 years, and a basement that the listing described as full of potential. You know what full of potential means in a property listing. It means nobody has done anything with it and it needs work. You do not care. You have been renting for 14 years. You have moved 11 times in those 14 years. You have painted walls and been charged for it at the end of leases. You have had landlords enter without notice and neighbors above you and below you and on both sides. And you have wanted, with the specific and patient hunger of someone who has wanted something for a very long time, a place that is yours. This is yours. You collect the keys on a Friday afternoon. You stand in the empty living room for a while before you do anything else. Just stand there in the quiet of a space that belongs to you for the first time in your adult life, and something settles in you that has been unsettled for a very long time. Then you go down to the basement, because the basement is where you are going to start. The listing said full of potential, and you have been thinking about what that potential looks like since the offer was accepted. A home office, perhaps, a gym, a proper utility room, something that justifies the space and makes the house work harder for you than a standard 3-bedroom on a quiet street might otherwise manage. You open the basement door, you turn on the light, and you see immediately that something is wrong. The basement is not what the listing photographs showed. This is not unusual in itself. Listing photographs are taken with wide-angle lenses and flattering light and the specific intention of making a space look larger and more appealing than it is. You knew the basement would be smaller in person than it appeared online, but that is not what is wrong. What is wrong is the floor. The basement has a concrete floor, or it is supposed to have a concrete floor. The listing specifications describe a concrete floor, and the survey confirmed a concrete floor. And every house on this street of this age in this type of construction has a concrete floor in the basement. This floor has been replaced recently. Within the last year, you would estimate, based on the color and finish of the concrete. Newer, slightly lighter than the walls it meets, the edges not quite blended into the original foundation. Someone has poured a new concrete floor in this basement, over the original. You stand and look at it for a long time. You take out your phone and photograph it. The junction between old and new concrete is visible if you know what to look for. And you know what to look for because you spent 3 years working in property renovation in your mid-20s, and you have seen floors replaced before. You have never seen a floor replaced for no reason. Replacing a basement floor is expensive. It requires excavation or grinding, new formwork, a pour, curing time. Nobody does it casually. Nobody does it without a reason. You walk the perimeter of the basement slowly, looking at the junction between the new floor and the original walls. In the far corner, the corner furthest from the stairs, the corner that would be most difficult to see from the door, the junction is different. The new concrete does not meet the wall cleanly. There is a gap, small, perhaps 3 centimeters, running along the base of the wall for approximately 2 meters. The kind of gap that appears when a concrete pour is made around something or over something that was not fully accounted for in the formwork. You crouch down and look at the gap. You can feel air moving through it. Cold air, moving with a consistency that suggests it is coming from somewhere, not leaking in from the foundations the way damp air sometimes does, but flowing, directed, as if something on the other side of that wall is generating or containing a pressure differential. You stand up slowly. You look at the wall. The wall is not original. You know how to look at walls. 3 years of property renovation teaches you things about construction that most people never learn. How to read the age of materials, how to identify modifications, how to see the difference between what was built originally and what was added later by someone who did not want it to be noticed. This wall was added later by someone who did not want it to be noticed. The brickwork is close to the original, close enough to fool a surveyor who was not specifically looking for it, and apparently it did, because the survey that was conducted before your purchase made no mention of any modification to the basement walls. But the mortar is slightly different, the color is slightly different, and the courses, the horizontal layers of brick, do not align perfectly with the courses in the adjacent walls. Someone built this wall to hide something. You stand in front of it for 20 minutes. Then you do something that you will spend a significant amount of time afterward wondering about. You go to your car and get your tools. You come back to the basement, and you start to take the wall apart. Not the whole wall, just enough to see. You work at the mortar in the lower section, near the gap where the air is coming through, using a cold chisel and a hammer from the renovation kit you brought specifically for the basement work you are planning to start this weekend. The mortar comes away more easily than it should. The bricks are not fully set. This wall was built to be removable. You pull out 3 bricks, then 4, then enough to shine your phone light through the gap and see what is on the other side. What is on the other side is a tunnel, concrete lined, approximately 1.5 meters wide and 2 meters high, running away from the house in the direction of the property boundary, curving slightly to the right before disappearing into darkness beyond the range of your phone's torch. The floor of the tunnel is smooth, used. There are scuff marks and what might be wheel marks. Something with wheels has been moved through here, more than once and recently enough that the marks have not accumulated dust. There is lighting. Strip lights along the ceiling, currently off, with a cable running along the wall that disappears in the same direction as the tunnel. You shine your light for a long time. Then you put the bricks back. You go upstairs. You sit in your empty living room, the room where 40 minutes ago something settled in you that had been unsettled for a long time, and you try to understand what is happening. You are a new homeowner. You have been a homeowner for approximately 2 hours. In those 2 hours, you have discovered that beneath your first home, beneath the place you have wanted for 14 years, the place where something settled in you that had been unsettled for a very long time, there is a tunnel, a professional tunnel, engineered, lit, actively used, running from your basement in a direction that, based on the street layout and the property boundary, would put it somewhere under the road or the neighboring properties, or both. You try to think about this rationally. The tunnel predates your ownership. Whatever it is used for, it has nothing to do with you. You did not build it. You did not know about it. The survey did not find it. The sellers, a property management company acting on behalf of an estate, presumably did not know about it either. You could call the police. You sit with this option for a while. Calling the police means explaining that you found a tunnel under your house. It means an investigation. It means your house becomes a crime scene. It means the mortgage you stretched yourself to the absolute limit to secure is attached to a property that is now evidence in whatever investigation follows. It means, depending on what the tunnel is actually used for, a process that could take months or years, and at the end of which you may or may not have a house to live in. You could say nothing. Seal the wall back up, properly this time. Get a contractor in, do it right, and simply never go back to that corner of the basement again. Whatever is happening in that tunnel is not your problem. You did not know about it. You still technically do not know about it. You know there is a tunnel. You do not know what it is used for, and not knowing is a defensible position. You are still sitting with these 2 options when your phone rings. Unknown number. You answer it because you have been giving your number to contractors and estate agents and utility companies all week, and unknown numbers have been part of your life. The voice on the other end is calm, male,
accented in a way you cannot immediately place, somewhere between Spanish and something else. He says he understands you have just moved in. He says he hopes the house is everything you are looking for. He says he would like to meet.
He gives you an address. Not a restaurant, not a private room above a bar. A park. A bench near a fountain in a public park 2 kilometers from your house, tomorrow morning at 9. He says come alone. He says there is nothing to be afraid of. The specific combination of come alone and there is nothing to be afraid of does not have the effect he may have intended. You spend the night in your new house, your first night as a homeowner, the night you had imagined involving takeout food and a feeling of accomplishment, sitting in the living room with the basement door closed and your phone in your hand and a level of alertness that makes sleep impossible. You go to the park at 9. He is already there. Younger than you expected, well-dressed without being conspicuous. 2 men standing at a distance that is close enough to be present and far enough to be deniable. He shakes your hand. He asks if you found the basement to be as described. You say it needs work. He smiles. It is a real smile, not warm exactly, but genuine, the smile of someone who has just confirmed something they already knew. He tells you the tunnel has been in use for 3 years. He tells you the previous occupants of the house were compensated generously for their cooperation and their discretion. He tells you the arrangement was mutually beneficial and that it is his sincere hope that a similar arrangement can be reached with you. He uses the word arrangement 4 times in the conversation. He never uses any other word for what he is describing. He outlines what cooperation looks like. You continue to live in your house. You use the basement for whatever purpose you wish. He suggests the home office or gym you were planning, the full potential of the space, as he puts it. You do not go near the far corner. You do not ask questions about anything you might occasionally hear. You receive a payment each month, a number he writes on a small piece of paper and slides across the bench. That is, he notes, significantly more than your monthly mortgage payment. You look at the number. You look at the 2 men standing at a distance that is close enough to be present. You think about 14 years of renting, about the settlement that has already happened in you in that empty living room. You think about the alternative. Then you think about what the alternative actually looks like. Not in theory, in practice. What it looks like to call the police from a park bench while 2 men stand at a distance that is close enough to be present. What it looks like to go home to a house that will become a crime scene. What it looks like to lose the first thing that has been yours in your adult life 2 hours after you got it. You take the piece of paper, you fold it, you put it in your pocket, and you tell him the arrangement sounds acceptable.